Hi, I'm Dr. James Whitmore, and if you're over 50 and feeling tired, disconnected, or low on drive, you're not alone. But there's a natural way to fix it. Let me start with a truth that might feel uncomfortable but could change everything for you. There's a silent, everyday habit, something most men over 50 do without a second thought, that could be slowly enlarging your prostate, disrupting your sleep, and draining the energy you once took for granted. This isn't about some rare disease or risky behavior. It's not about what you eat or even what you drink. It's about a pattern, a daily behavior that seems harmless on the surface, but over time quietly triggers a cascade of physical changes deep inside your body. You see, this habit is so common, it's become invisible. Millions of men are doing it right now as we speak, never realizing what it's doing to them. But as a prostate doctor for over 25 years, I've seen what happens when it goes unchecked. The endless bathroom trips in the middle of the night, the pressure, the urgency, the hesitation that turns into frustration. It doesn't happen all at once, it creeps in slowly until your life starts revolving around your bladder. Your sleep suffers, your confidence fades, and your energy starts to feel like a memory. Now, before I tell you what that habit is, I need you to hear something more important. You are not broken. This is not your fault. But it is your responsibility to learn what's happening inside your body and to make choices that support your healing, not your decline. This video is for men who are tired of tiptoeing around their discomfort. For men who have quietly accepted that getting older means surrendering their strength, their sleep, their intimacy. It's for the man who stands in the kitchen at 3:27 a.m., trying not to wake his wife as he makes yet another trip to the bathroom. It's for the man who feels a growing distance in his marriage, not from lack of love, but from the quiet shame of a body that doesn't feel like his anymore. If any of that sounds like you, then stay with me. Because this isn't about fear, this is about freedom. And I promise you, it's closer than you think. I want you to picture something you're back in control. You sleep through the night. You go hours without thinking about the nearest bathroom. You feel clarity, energy, connection, not like you're in survival mode, but like you're finally living again. That's not a fantasy. That's what happens when we address the real root of prostate enlargement and we stop pretending it's just normal aging. Let's be honest. Most men are told that this is just how it is after 50. You slow down. You pee more. You stop initiating. You deal with it. But what if that's a lie? Or at least a half-truth we've accepted because no one took the time to explain what's actually happening. Because here's the reality, your prostate isn't malfunctioning. It's responding to hormones, to inflammation, to how you move or don't, and to the signals your lifestyle is constantly sending it. Once you understand those signals, you can change the message. And once you change the message, everything can shift. Before we dive into the science and the solution, I want to make one thing clear: you are not alone in this. The man who avoids travel because he's afraid of long drives without a bathroom. The one who hesitates to sit through a movie or who dreads bedtime because he knows it won't mean sleep. He's not weak. He's not failing. He's simply dealing with something no one prepared him for. But knowledge is power. And what you're about to learn could give you your rhythm back, your peace, your nights, even your intimacy. In this video, we're going to unpack it all. The hidden habit that's quietly enlarging your prostate, the biological chain reaction behind it, the emotional toll it takes, the real studies that prove it, and most importantly, the natural daily shifts that can help you feel like yourself again, without pills, without surgery, and without shame. So take a deep breath. You've carried this long enough. You don't have to anymore. In the next part of this video, we'll step into the quiet, painful reality that so many men live with and so few ever talk about. The silent struggle of the swollen prostate, the lost confidence, the broken nights, and why understanding that struggle is the first step toward healing it. Because what you're feeling, it's real, and it's treatable. Let's begin. You wake up again, not because you're rested, but because your body has called you out of sleep once more. It's dark, quiet. The clock reads 4:11 a.m. You sit on the edge of the bed, trying not to wake your partner. You already know the routine. You've done it 3 times tonight. One foot on the floor, then the other. A slow walk down the hall, another visit to the bathroom, and still, it never feels like enough. A weak stream, an unsatisfying release, and a familiar sense of frustration settle in. You return to bed, but you don't fall back asleep. Not right away. Your eyes find the ceiling. Your thoughts start to swirl. And somewhere inside you ask yourself, is this my new normal? This is the silent reality for so many men over 50, and most never talk about it. They push through day after day, hoping no one notices, hoping it gets better. But deep down, they know something is off. They feel it in the bathroom, in the bedroom, in their confidence. And most of all, in the quiet moments, the ones filled with shame, fatigue, and questions that go unanswered. You start rationing your water because you're afraid to drink too much. You plan your day around restrooms. You hesitate to go for long drives or sit through an entire movie. Spontaneity begins to fade. Freedom shrinks. You become hyper-aware of your bladder, your urgency, your limitations. And it doesn't stop when the sun comes up. During the day, the discomfort lingers. You feel pressure when you sit too long. You sense tension in your lower belly. You avoid intimacy not because the desire is gone, but because you fear embarrassment. You don't want your partner to see the struggle, so instead, you pull away. But here's the truth most men never hear. This isn't weakness. This is biology, and it's more common than you think. Over half of all men in their 50s and nearly 90% by age 80 experience symptoms of benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. This means an enlarged prostate usually caused by hormonal shifts and chronic inflammation. And yet, even with how common it is, men rarely feel seen. Because no one prepares you for how deeply it affects your life, not just physically, but emotionally. BPH isn't just a medical condition. It's a thief. It steals your sleep, your confidence, your spontaneity. It makes you second-guess every decision. Should I have that cup of coffee? Can I sit through this meeting? Will I make it through the night without waking up 5 times? You start living life in segments between bathroom breaks, and you wonder when that started feeling normal. But it's not just about the urination. It's about identity. It's about control. It's about feeling like your body no longer listens to you, like you're aging faster than you expected, and no one told you how much this would hurt. It's about the dignity that slips through your fingers with every awkward pause, every rushed trip to the bathroom, every missed moment of connection with the person you love. And perhaps the hardest part of all, the silence. No one talks about this. Not in public, not at dinner, not with friends. Even at the doctor's office, the conversation can feel clinical, rushed, impersonal. But this isn't just a clinical issue. It's a human one. And you deserve to be heard, to be understood, to be helped. I remember one patient, let's call him George. He was 67, a retired contractor built like a brick wall, hands weathered from decades of honest work. But when he sat in my office, he looked down and said, "Doc, I'd give up my favorite chair if I could just sleep through the night." That sentence hit me, because for him and for so many others, This wasn't just about comfort. It was about reclaiming control, about feeling like a man again. Not in the macho sense, but in the grounded, peaceful way. The way that says, I'm here, I'm steady, I'm okay. George, like many of my patients, wasn't lazy. He wasn't unhealthy, but he had a habit, one simple, repeated behavior that was silently contributing to his prostate swelling. He never connected the dots. Most men don't. But once we changed that one thing, everything started to shift. His sleep improved. His confidence returned. Even his relationship with his wife softened, warmed. He said to me months later, I feel like I got my rhythm back. And that's exactly it, rhythm. Because what prostate problems steal isn't just function. They steal flow, physical, emotional, relational. If you've been quietly battling this, tiptoeing around your symptoms, trying not to draw attention, avoiding conversations, let me say something that might bring you comfort. You're not alone, and you're not crazy. This is real, and it's fixable. But the first step is seeing the struggle for what it truly is, not just a nuisance, but a message. Your body isn't failing. It's trying to tell you something. And when you learn to listen, really listen, you unlock the ability to heal. We're going to go deeper into the biology in the next section. I'll explain exactly what's happening inside your body, why your prostate starts to swell, and why your symptoms aren't random. They're connected to something deeper. And once you understand that, the shame starts to lift, the fear softens, and the path forward begins to reveal itself. So don't turn away from this moment. You've spent long enough suffering in silence. You don't have to anymore. You deserve peace, you deserve answers, and you deserve a plan that works. Let's talk about what's actually happening inside your body, not in complex medical terms, but in a way that makes sense, so you can finally stop guessing and start healing. Let's take a deep breath, because now we're going beneath the surface, beneath the symptoms, beneath the frustration, and into the biology that's been quietly reshaping your body without your permission. At the center of this journey is a small, walnut-sized gland called the prostate. It's located just below your bladder and wraps gently around the urethra, the tube that carries urine out of your body. For most of your life, it performs its role in silence, producing fluid that supports fertility. You never feel it. You never think about it. Until something shifts, and suddenly, this quiet little gland begins to grow. Starting around age 50, your hormone balance begins to change. Your testosterone, which has powered so much of your energy, muscle tone, and drive throughout adulthood, starts to decline. But it doesn't simply vanish. Instead, your body begins converting more of it into something called DHT, or dihydrotestosterone, through an enzyme known as 5-alpha reductase. Now here's where things get interesting. DHT is like testosterone's more aggressive cousin. And while it plays a useful role earlier in life, too much of it, especially in your later decades, can act like fertilizer for the prostate. As your DHT levels rise, it triggers the cells in your prostate to multiply and expand. Slowly, steadily, year after year, until the gland begins to press against the urethra, creating all the discomfort you now feel. This is not your fault. This is not a failure. It's simply a natural biological response, one that becomes problematic when it meets the modern lifestyle most of us now live. Because hormones are only part of the story. The other root cause, and perhaps the most overlooked, is chronic inflammation. Inflammation is your body's natural response to stress, injury, or imbalance. And while short bursts of it are protective, chronic inflammation is destructive, especially in soft tissues like the prostate. What causes that kind of long-term inflammation? The answer is surprisingly simple: and yet incredibly damaging over time. It's inactivity, stillness. Long hours of sitting slouched over in chairs, cars, recliners. Day after day, week after week. Your pelvic region, the seat of your bladder, your prostate, your vital blood vessels becomes compressed. Circulation slows, lymph flow stagnates, and inflammation quietly builds. You might not feel it right away, but inside your body is sending distress signals. Tissues begin to swell. Hormone receptors become overstimulated. The natural drainage systems around your prostate systems that flush out toxins and waste get backed up. And before you know it, the gland that once worked silently becomes inflamed, enlarged, and disruptive. Now think about this for a moment. How many hours a day do you sit watching TV? Driving, reading, browsing, eating, it adds up. 6, 8, sometimes even 10 hours a day. Most of it uninterrupted. And while your mind may be resting, your body is quietly paying the price. This is why so many men, strong, disciplined men, suddenly find themselves waking up at night, rushing to the bathroom, struggling with intimacy, and wondering what happened. Their bodies aren't breaking down. They're responding to decades of hormonal drift and physical stillness. And there's more. We can't ignore the role of stress, especially the emotional kind. Chronic stress, even the kind you've learned to hide, elevates cortisol, your body's main stress hormone. And when cortisol is high for too long, it suppresses testosterone, inflames tissue, and disrupts sleep. It also triggers a cascade of tension, especially in the muscles and nerves of the pelvic floor, which adds pressure to the prostate from the outside in. That tension can show up in ways you'd never expect. Difficulty starting. Urination, burning sensations, pelvic discomfort, even feelings of heaviness or emotional numbness. It's not just in your head. It's in your nervous system. It's in your biology. I've seen it again and again in my practice. A man walks in exhausted, frustrated, convinced that this is just what getting older looks like. But as we start to unpack his habits, the way he sits, the stress he carries, the hydration he avoids, the movements he's stopped doing, a different picture begins to emerge. His body isn't aging badly. It's reacting to a pattern. And once we break that pattern, healing begins. Take George, for example. You met him in part 2. The retired contractor who said he'd give up his favorite chair for a full night's sleep. When I first met George, he was sitting nearly 10 hours a day. He barely drank water out of fear of more bathroom trips. His nights were shattered by urgency. And emotionally, he felt like a burden to his wife, though she never said it. It wasn't until we gently shifted his routine, added movement, adjusted his hydration, changed his seating, that his symptoms began to ease. He didn't take a pill. He didn't need surgery. He simply started sending his body a different message, one that said, "I'm listening. I'm supporting you. I want to flow again." So let's review the core root causes you're facing. Your DHT is likely elevated, stimulating unnecessary growth. Your pelvic region is probably under-oxygenated and inflamed. And your emotional stress may be silently tightening the tissues that surround and compress your prostate. Together, these factors create the pressure, urgency, and nightly disruption that have taken over your rhythm. But the beauty is, none of this is irreversible. Your prostate is not the enemy. It's the messenger. And now that you've heard the message, you can respond. In the next section, we'll back everything up with cold, hard science. I'll show you the peer-reviewed studies and clinical evidence that confirm everything you've just learned, so you know this isn't theory. It's fact. And more importantly, it's actionable. Because once we anchor your understanding in evidence, we can begin building the daily habits that support real healing, not just symptom relief, but genuine restoration. Let's go there next. Now that we understand the root causes behind prostate enlargement, from hormone imbalance to chronic inflammation to physical stillness, let's take one more essential step together. Let's anchor everything in evidence. Real studies, peer-reviewed science, the kind of research that removes doubt and replaces it with confidence. Because this isn't just a theory I'm sharing with you. It's backed by decades of clinical observation and biomedical data. And the moment you realize just how much science already supports your healing, something shifts inside. You go from surviving to believing. Let's start with the hormones. A study published in the Journal of Urology followed men over the age of 50 to observe how their testosterone and DHT levels impacted prostate size over time. The results clear and sobering. As testosterone declines, the body increases its conversion of testosterone into dihydrotestosterone DHT, that more aggressive form we discussed earlier. And DHT has a direct measurable impact on the growth of prostate cells, especially in the inner zone, where swelling compresses the urethra. In simple terms, less testosterone and more DHT equals more pressure on your bladder, more urgency at night, and more disruption to your rhythm. But here's the hopeful part. The same study showed that men who addressed inflammation and improved their metabolic health through nutrition, movement, and stress reduction saw a natural reduction in DHT levels over time. Without medication, just lifestyle changes that restored hormonal balance. Let's move to circulation. A 2022 review in Frontiers in Physiology examined the relationship between prolonged sitting and prostate health. The findings were startling. Men who sat for more than 6 hours a day, especially without movement, breaks had significantly poorer pelvic blood flow, higher inflammation markers, and greater prevalence of lower urinary tract symptoms. But here's where it gets exciting. Men who simply stood up and moved for 30 seconds every 30 to 60 minutes saw improvements in blood oxygenation to the pelvic region. Even gentle movement, standing, stretching, walking around the house helped restore circulation and ease pressure around the prostate. That means one of the most powerful things you can do doesn't require a prescription. It just requires awareness and consistency. Now let's talk inflammation. According to the National Institutes of Health, chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the most consistent findings in men with moderate to severe BPH. The research is clear. As inflammatory markers rise, prostate volume tends to increase, and so do urinary symptoms like frequent urgency, incomplete emptying, and nighttime urination. So what causes that inflammation? It's not just genetics. It's diet. It's stillness. It's poor sleep. It's long-term emotional stress. It's everything that compounds over years and tells your immune system to stay in a low-level state of defense. And just like with hormones and circulation, the antidote is natural. Multiple studies, including a landmark trial from the University of Florence, found that men who adopted an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, including a Mediterranean diet, daily walking, and regular stress reduction rituals, experienced smaller prostate size and fewer nighttime awakenings within 8 to 12 weeks. Let that sink in. We're not talking about surgery or another drawer full of pills. We're talking about tomatoes, olive oil, daily movement, and peace of mind. When you give your body the conditions it needs to regulate inflammation, it does exactly that. And when inflammation falls, the prostate softens, flow improves, sleep returns, and the man who once felt at war with his body begins to feel at home again. And there's one more layer of science we can't ignore: the mind-body connection. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, the hormone responsible for your fight or flight response. That cortisol suppresses testosterone, disrupts sleep, tightens pelvic muscles, and increases inflammatory cytokines throughout the body, including inside the prostate. This isn't woo-woo psychology. This is measurable endocrinology. Studies from the Mayo Clinic and Harvard Medical School have shown that men who engage in daily stress reduction practices, even simple ones like deep breathing, evening walks, or gratitude journaling, see lower cortisol, better testosterone response, and fewer BPH symptoms over time. So when I tell you that healing is possible, I don't say it as a motivational speaker. I say it as a doctor, one who's spent decades watching men suffer needlessly because no one ever showed them the science of how healing actually works. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to understand how your body operates and what it responds to. Let's recap what we know from science. High DHT levels fuel prostate growth and can be reduced through lifestyle shifts. Sedentary behavior increases inflammation and congestion. Even brief movement breaks. Anti-inflammatory routines, including diet and rest, can reduce prostate size and improve sleep. Emotional stress is not just mental. It's physical, and it impacts your hormones and circulation. Your body already knows how to heal. It's just waiting for the right signals, and now that you know what those signals are, you can start sending them. Every stretch, every nourishing meal, every quiet breath at night. It all adds up. It all counts. In the next section, we'll talk about what to actually do. You'll get specific natural habits, daily steps that fit into your routine, support your prostate, reduce urgency, and rebuild your energy from the inside out. Because information is only powerful when it becomes action. And the actions you're about to learn could change everything. You've come a long way from understanding your symptoms to exploring the biology behind them, to uncovering the science that validates your experience. Now let's move into the most important part of this entire journey, what you can do about it. Not next month, not after another appointment, but today. Because healing your prostate doesn't require a miracle. It doesn't even require perfection. It just requires commitment to small, natural shifts, choices that signal your body. We're no longer ignoring you. We're here. We're listening. Let's begin again. So let me walk you through a few simple but powerful habits that have helped my patients and can help you reduce inflammation, support hormone balance, and restore that rhythm your body is quietly craving. We start with the morning because how you wake up determines how your body performs all day. The first habit is something I call the morning movement reset. After lying still for 6 to 8 hours, your pelvic region is stiff. Blood flow is sluggish. Your hormones are just beginning to shift gears. That's why the first 10 minutes after waking are so important. Step outside or stand by a window and let the natural light touch your face and eyes. Breathe in deeply. Gently stretch your hips and lower back. Move in slow circles. Just 5 minutes of mindful movement sends a message to your nervous system that it's time to flow. It reactivates testosterone signaling, stimulates pelvic circulation, and grounds you in your body all before your first cup of coffee. Next, let's talk about food. One of the most underappreciated prostate allies, red and purple fruits and vegetables. Beets, red grapes, pomegranate, purple cabbage. These foods are loaded with polyphenols, compounds shown in studies to lower inflammation, reduce oxidative stress, and support healthy blood flow. They also assist in regulating nitric oxide, which relaxes blood vessels and improves circulation to the lower body. So here's the habit: include at least 1 serving of red or purple produce with your breakfast or lunch. A glass of pure pomegranate juice, a beet and spinach salad, even a small bowl of red berries. These are small actions with cellular level impact. Now let's address one of the biggest contributors to prostate congestion: prolonged sitting. You already know how damaging it is, not just to your back, but to your circulation, your hormones, and your inflammation levels. So instead of telling yourself to sit less, use the 30-30 rule. Every 30 minutes, stand and move for at least 30 seconds. Set a gentle reminder on your phone or watch if needed. Walk across the room. Do a simple stretch. Take a few deep breaths while standing. This one habit alone has helped countless men reduce nighttime urgency, improve energy levels, and feel more connected to their body. It's not complicated. It's just conscious movement. As we move into the evening, your body shifts into rest mode, or at least it wants to. But modern distractions, screens, stress, late-night meals often hijack that natural rhythm. This is where a nightly wind-down ritual can become one of your greatest tools. Start by turning off all screens at least an hour before bed. Brew a warm cup of chamomile nettle leaf or turmeric tea. Light a candle if you'd like. Then take 5 quiet minutes to journal. You don't need to write a novel, just ask yourself, what am I still holding on to today? What can I let go of before sleep? If your mind feels especially busy, place one hand on your belly and breathe slowly, allowing your breath to drop down into your lower abdomen. This practice alone can relax the pelvic floor, lower cortisol, and ease the very tension that's been pressing on your prostate. And now we arrive at something that isn't discussed enough, but has a profound impact on prostate health: emotional release. Most men have been conditioned to suppress emotion, to bottle it up, to push forward. But what science and clinical experience continues to reveal is that emotional stagnation leads to physical stagnation, especially in the pelvic region. Shame, grief, frustration, when left unprocessed, don't just affect your mood. They influence your hormones, your sleep, your tension, and your healing. That's why I encourage what I call a 5-minute truth ritual at night. Ask yourself, what did I feel today but didn't express? Where in my body did I hold tension? What do I need to forgive or release, even if just for tonight? Writing it down or even speaking it out loud allows the nervous system to soften. And when that happens, the body begins to heal. All of these habits, movement, food, stillness, emotional reflection, they are not about restriction. They're about rhythm. They're about helping your body remember what it feels like to be supported, to be heard, to be safe enough to let go of the tension it's been holding for far too long. And here's the beautiful truth: you don't have to do them all at once. You just have to begin. Start with one. Add another next week. Let this be a quiet revolution, not a dramatic overhaul. Because healing is not about pushing harder. It's about listening better. And your body, it's listening too. It always has been. Every stretch, every pause, every breath, every bite of real food, every moment you choose peace over pressure, it all matters. In the next section, I'll bring all of this together into one simple 3-step daily plan: morning, midday, and evening, so you don't have to guess what to do next. You'll have a rhythm to follow, a path to return to, and most importantly, a way to feel like yourself again. Let's walk that path together. You've made it here through the discomfort, the science, the silence, and the truth. And now you're standing at the most powerful part of this journey, the part where you begin again. You don't need 20 new habits. You don't need perfection. You don't even need motivation. You just need a rhythm, a path, a structure that honors your body's need for flow, circulation, and calm. One that tells your nervous system, we're not in survival anymore. We're building something new. So let me give you that rhythm, a simple daily 3-step plan. Morning, midday, and night. Just follow it for 7 days and notice what begins to change in your body, your energy, your sleep, and your peace of mind. We begin in the morning, the first signal your body receives each day. So make it a strong one. Step 1, morning, turn on the flow. As soon as you wake up, step into natural light, even if it's just standing by a window. Light resets your internal clock, boosts testosterone production, and tells your hormones it's time to rise. Next, drink a glass of water with lemon or a pinch of sea salt. Something that rehydrates you and restarts your circulation. Then move. 5 minutes. Stretch your hips. Take a barefoot walk in your backyard. Breathe slowly. And if you can include a red or purple food with breakfast, like pomegranate berries or a few slices of beet. These steps may seem small, but they compound powerfully. They tell your prostate, we're circulating, we're alive. Step 2, midday, interrupt the stillness. Every 30 to 60 minutes, take a short movement break. You don't need a gym, just stand, shift your posture. Take 5 slow breaths or walk across the room. Set a gentle reminder if you need to. These tiny acts of movement help reverse hours of compression and bring oxygen back to the lower body. Then once a day, pause for 1 minute, just one, to name something you're grateful for. Say it out loud. Write it down. Gratitude softens stress chemistry. It tells your immune system, we're safe. We're not at war anymore. Step 3, night, release and restore. An hour before bed, power down your screens. Let the mind start dimming. Brew a calming tea like chamomile nettle or turmeric with almond milk. Then grab a pen and ask yourself one question. What am I still holding on to from today? Write without judgment. Let it flow. You don't need to solve anything. Just let your body know you're not carrying it to bed. Then lie down, place one hand gently on your belly, and breathe into the space behind your navel. Feel the tension in your pelvic floor soften. Feel your body exhale, and with it the pressure. That's it. That's the rhythm. Morning light and flow. Midday breath and movement. Nighttime stillness and release. Not a program, not a prescription. Just a path back to you. Because the truth is, you were never broken. You were simply disconnected from your body, from your rhythm, from the small healing signals that tell your nervous system, we're safe now. You can relax. You can restore. And once your body receives that signal, it responds. It always does. Your urgency fades. Your confidence returns. Your sleep deepens. And most importantly, you stop tiptoeing through life. You stand tall again. Hi, I'm Dr. James Whitmore, and I hope today's message gave you something you haven't had in a while: clarity. Because healing begins with understanding, and progress begins with hope. Your body is not the enemy. It wants to heal. It just needs the right rhythm, the right signal, and that begins with you. If this helped you, let us know in the comments below, and don't miss our next video right here on Senior Health Secrets. Until then, be gentle with yourself. You're not alone. You're just getting started.